So you might be interested in starting a hive of bees of your own, and this lecture discusses why you should and is part one of a two-part lecture looking at the very many surprising benefits of bees and beekeeping. So if you'd like to explore the full course, please click the link below the video and I'd be delighted to see you on the course. Thanks very much and enjoy the lecture. Hi there and welcome to Why Bees Part 1. Well, you know that bees produce honey and you've heard that they're very important for pollination, but is that it? Is there anything else to beekeeping? Well, in this lecture we're going to start looking at the multiple benefits of bees and beekeeping. By the end of the lecture you're going to begin to understand all the various ways that we can benefit out of bees and beekeeping. So welcome to Lecture 5, Why You Should Keep Bees Part 1. So in this lecture we'll begin to look at why you should keep bees, how you, your family and community can benefit from bees and beekeeping. So why? Well, beekeeping is carrying on a long tradition and humans have had a relationship with honeybees for thousands of years. Honey hunting is the robbing of honey from bee nests in rocks and tree cavities. Now, honey hunting has been going on for thousands of years and still takes place in different parts of the world today. And I remember working with honey hunters in Somalia and in different parts of Africa. People still go and collect wild honey from trees and rock cavities. So why? Well, bees are remarkable. Okay, bees display some kind of collective consciousness, although scientists may debate what that is. I mean, when you become a beekeeper, you really get to kind of know your bees in some way. You get to know their character, their temperament as a colony. You know, not individual bees, but the colony will behave in a particular way. So they have some kind of consciousness. You're dealing with some kind of it's hard to describe, but they're absolutely amazing. Bees are absolutely amazing in terms of what they can do, how they function, you know, how they divide up labor in the colony, how they just do such a wonderful job of building the nest, collecting all that honey, processing it. It's just amazing. Now, the more you learn about bees, the more they're going to blow your mind. Just how they organize themselves, they communicate using different pheromones, different dances, how they make decisions, etc. You know, even how, for example, a small little bee, a tiny little bee can fly out, and research has shown that bees can fly up to 12 kilometers and find their way back to the hive. You're talking about a bee that could be, let's say, 3 or 4 weeks old, flying out, flying kilometers and then being able to relocate back to the beehive. You know, it's incredible. So there's so much in terms of, you know, what bees do that is incredible. And the more you learn about them, the more you're going to be amazed, which is fantastic, because it gives you an insight into just how wonderful nature is. Now, I've just put in a little point there. Bees have taught me stoicism, which is like, okay, just getting on with things no matter what situation you find yourself in. And that's what bees do. As beekeepers, you can go to the beehive, you can manipulate the bees, you can remove all the frames and the combs around, you can alter the nest, and the bees just get on with it. They don't kind of go on strike, they don't complain, they don't say, oh, this is terrible, we're sick of this happening. They just, from the moment you leave, they just get on with it and they rearrange things the way they wanted, and you know, they just get on with life. And if you look at, even I've shown you videos of bumblebees, and they're just, you know, getting on with stuff, they're just doing stuff, they're making the most of each and every day. And you know, I think there's a lot to be learned there as human beings from bees in terms of, you know, how we should behave as well. Now, pollination. I mentioned pollination, it's really huge. Now, just to put some figures on it, in the United States, the value of insect pollination to the US agricultural production is estimated at $16 billion annually, and 3/4 of that is from honeybees. Now, the annual value of pollinators for human food crops is estimated at 603 million in the UK and 53 million in the Republic of Ireland. So big money. So worldwide, the contribution of bees and other insects to global crop production for human food is valued at $190 billion. So again, big money. Crops pollinated by bees include tree fruits such as apples, berries such as blueberries, vegetables such as cucumber, and oilseed crops such as oilseed rape, and fodder crops such as lucerne. So a whole range of different crops are depending on our benefit from bee pollination. And this is a picture from California, and this is the almond crop. So the almonds come into flower in the springtime, and the almond crop requires 1.7 million beehives to pollinate, and the crop covers 1,240,000 acres. So it's a huge size, and it depends on honeybees for pollination. So honeybees are trucked in from all over the US to California for the almond crop pollination in the springtime, around February, when they start to flower. So why improve biodiversity? Well, biodiversity refers to the variety and variability of life in our environment. And pollinating insects provide almost incalculable economic and ecological benefits to humans, flowering plants, and wildlife. So just the whole diversity of life around us is so much contributed to and helped by bees and other pollinators. Bees are also a vital indicator of the health of our environment. Okay, as I mentioned before, bees are in decline. Bees are being threatened with extinction. That's not a good sign of the health of our environment. That's not a good sign in terms of the future of the human populations, on this planet. It means we're destroying our own environment. We're polluting our environment. So bees are like a canary in the coal mine in terms of the health of the planet. And unfortunately, it's not headed in the right direction. But we can change things, we can improve, and we can turn things around. But it starts with awareness. We need to become aware. We need to educate others. So bees are a window into the natural world. I mean, this is absolutely fantastic. So when you get into bees, they're a wonderful entry point for a greater understanding of nature. And for me, this is one of the main reasons why I love bees. So when you walk into your garden, you see what's happening, you look at plants, you look at what's in flower, you look at the weather, how everything is interacting together. And it really turns you on to what's going on around you. It opens your eyes to nature and the beauty of nature and the interaction between the flowers and everything that's going on in your garden or around you in the countryside. So, that's an absolutely huge benefit of getting into bees, because it's almost like it's an awakening to the beauty of nature around you. And to quote Albert Einstein, he said, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." So, there's so much we can learn from being aware of what's going on in nature around us, because we are part of that. We are part of the natural world, whether we like it or not. We don't want to be a destructive species. We don't want to destroy everything around us. We want to live in harmony with nature. But to do that, we need an awareness. We need to be turned on, to be switched on. And beekeeping can do that. It can just switch on your awareness to what's going on around you. So beekeeping is a wonderful hobby. Now, it's all absorbing, from people from all walks of life, men, women, young and old. Everybody can be involved in beekeeping. I started in beekeeping. My first experience with bees was at 9 years of age, and I can continue on. There's no limit, as long as I can walk, or even if I can't walk, I could still be involved with bees and beekeeping as long as I'm able to. It can go on. There's no end to being a beekeeper. You can continue on, and that's absolutely brilliant. And the fact that also that you meet people from all walks of life. When you join your local beekeeping club, you're going to mix with a whole cross-section of society. I think that's really nice. Now, if you take up something like golf, you're going to be interacting with maybe the wealthier segment of society. But beekeeping is really for everybody, all professions. Everybody is in there. Everybody is. You can meet a doctor, you can meet a lawyer, you can meet a plumber, you can meet a builder, you can meet a farmer, you can meet. There's so many. Everybody's in there, and it's great to kind of, interact with different people, and I think that's one of the great benefits of bees. As I mentioned, meet people from all backgrounds. To me, beekeeping is like the TARDIS in Doctor Who. I don't know if you've ever watched Doctor Who. It's a program on British television, but there's this doctor who travels in time, and he has a time capsule in the shape of a British telephone box, but it's very small on the outside, and you open the door, you go in, and then it's this massive room on the inside. So everybody who goes in comments, oh, it's much bigger on the inside. So it's the same with beekeeping. You might think, actually, beekeeping is just a small thing, but no, once you get into it, whole worlds open up to you in different directions. There's so much involved potentially in beekeeping, and there's so much that you can learn out of it. And it's through this course that I'm going to show you all the different things and all the different ways that you can benefit from beekeeping and getting involved in bees and beekeeping. There are so many interests within beekeeping, so you can have the bees themselves, in terms of entomology. You can have business because you're producing a product, and not just one product but many different products. The whole interest into nature, pollination, the whole social aspect to it. There's so many different aspects to beekeeping. I'm going to show you all of those. You can spend a lifetime learning within beekeeping. Okay, another thing, improved mental health. So in general, hobbies are good for your mental health. That's proven through research. So there's enormous value of friendships you can make through beekeeping. So it's a social activity as well. You're going to meet new people. You go down and you go around and you join your local beekeeping club. You're going to meet many new people in there, and that's of immense value. Learning something new is very good for your confidence, and beekeeping gives you the opportunity to learn so much on diverse topics. So if you do a beekeeping course, you're going to be learning on so many different topics. As you go through the course, you're going to start to see all those topics, but there's just so many different topics potentially you can learn, and there's so many branches to beekeeping that you can focus on. For example, I was in Uganda recently, and I met a beekeeper there. His focus is on bee venom and using bee venom as medicine. That's a branch of beekeeping called apitherapy, using bee products as medicine. So that's a kind of a medical branch of beekeeping. And that was his focus, just on collecting and marketing bee venom. Now you can meet someone else and their focus is on making candles. You can be an expert on making beeswax candles, or creams, or polishes, or dealing with some of the other products, like, for example, producing something called royal jelly. That's very specialized. So there's so many directions and routes you can take. Another one just that comes to mind is bee breeding and genetics. Selecting and breeding the honeybee. There are people that absolutely specialize in that, and that is their main thing. They're not interested in honey production. They're interested in breeding. So there's so many routes you can take on diverse topics in beekeeping. So beekeeping is a great family activity. So most successful beekeepers involve and work with their families on beekeeping. And this is something that we see, and I've seen in different countries, where you have husband, wife, children, all involved in beekeeping as a family activity. So all the family get involved, and they all have their own particular roles. Maybe one person is involved in marketing, or one person is involved in processing the honey, one person is involved working with the bees, etc. So you can divide up into different roles. And if you don't like handling bees, then no problem. You can focus on different aspects, like making the candles or the creams, or making honey cake even, or marketing the products. There's always a role if you don't want to be involved directly with working at the beehives. So another reason, beekeeping complements gardening and farming. So if you're already into gardening or you're a farmer, then adding beekeeping to your farm or garden, it makes sense because bees contribute pollination. So it's a good opportunity for you to kind of expand and complement what you're already doing. As we've discussed earlier, the bees will also pollinate your vegetables, fruits and crops, and that will result in higher yields and better quality of fruit. Okay, so whatever the bees pollinate, it contributes, you get more of it and also better quality. And this is a picture from Ireland, from the springtime in Ireland. It's an oilseed rape crop which benefits from bee pollination. And it's worth, in the Republic of Ireland, it's worth 3.9 million per annum in terms of the value, in terms of to this particular crop alone. So bees are really important. So to summarize then, in part 1 of Why Keep Bees, we have seen a number of clear benefits from beekeeping. So bees are remarkable in themselves. We've seen pollination, we've seen enhanced biodiversity, increased awareness of the natural world. It's a great hobby. We've improved mental health, a great family activity, and it's complementary to gardening and farming. Okay, so in the next lecture then, we're going to continue looking at the why of bees and beekeeping and the benefits to you personally and to your family, community and the planet. So see you in the next lecture.